Kent Hance, the best storyteller in Texas podcast. Now available on the iHeartRadio app.
One of the funniest stories that I ever heard has to do with Dr. Denton Cooley, one of the great heart surgeons of all time. He and Dr. DeBakey were not friends. They were enemies, and they were both in Houston. Cooley was involved as a witness in a lawsuit. The lawyer asked him, said, Dr. Cooley, a lot of people say that you're the best heart surgeon in the world by far. He said, yes, sir, I say that. And he said, well, are you saying that now? He said, yes, I'm saying I'm the best heart surgeon in the world. He said, isn't that a little braggadocious? And Dr. Cooley said, yes, but I'm under oath.
Quick-witted stories from West Texas to the White House. Kent Hance, the best storyteller in Texas podcast. Now on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you download your podcast.
Joining us right now on the radio show. It's about damn time, by the way. This guy's been ducking us for a year and a half. Kidding, kind of. For the first time on the radio show, Dylan Morris, starting quarterback UW, is with us. Demo, how are you, pal?
I'm good. Just hanging around the stadium after a good day of practice, watching some film, eating some lunch with the guys.
I love it. Well, first of all, again, we appreciate you doing this, man. And then second of all, talk about just kind of the difference in atmosphere today compared to a year ago, compared to 2 years ago when you first showed up here on campus as a wide-eyed, bushy-tailed freshman quarterback in the back in the day. How are things for you now compared to maybe even when you got the starting job a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, just even starting when I first got here, as like any freshman, you first come in, you're swimming in that playbook a little bit, trying to learn some things, and yeah, I mean, just going forward, just soaking up little things from the coaches, learning about defenses, all this stuff, picking up little details, and then just moving into the last year, weird year, COVID, learning a new offense over Zoom, which is very unique. We weren't in person together to be able to run some plays, and that just makes things difficult. And I felt we did a really good job of just once we got in person and just getting dialed on our plays before we went at it with some other teams. And then compared to now, I mean, it's just night and day difference with how much our offense has improved and how comfortable guys are in the system. And I'm just really excited for this year. I think it's going to be really special.
Dylan, tell me a little bit about when you mentioned system and what Coach Donovan, you coming from high school and you're transferring into a pro style. We hear this so often, pro style, numbers instead of using black and white going to right and left. Has this year and having that spring and now heading into fall camp, biggest changes for you and getting the terminology and feeling more comfortable with the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually really comfortable as soon as we started learning the offense because it was something I did in high school. We ran a pro style offense in high school, so I was already used to the numbers and having some run checks, being under center, doing play actions, reading defenses and specific defenders instead of just reading space and throwing to open guys. And now being more comfortable in this offense, especially being around off season and in person with Coach Donovan, and I watched a lot of film with Coach Creighton McCollum too, and just really, really wanting to know the offense like the back of my hand, and getting better at the whole defense identification, hanging with the linemen, so I can be on the same page as them in terms of protection and run checks.
Yep.
And I think that's just a really important part of being able to run a pro-style offense, just being comfortable, seeing the defense, knowing what plays will work against a certain look, and also what's not going to work. So, yeah, I think and even with more time, everyone's just going to get more comfortable with that.
Well, Dylan Morris, again, starting quarterback over at UW with us for the first time on the radio show. And not to put any pressure on you, pal, but Jimmy Lake said a couple of days ago he expects you to be better than you were a year ago. And I expect that you also expect to be better than you were a year ago. How do you think you will be? How do you want to be a different and a more improved product than what we saw last season?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I'm always wanting to improve my game. And, my big focus in the off season was just, like I said, learning that offense like the back of my hand. I watched a ton of tape in the off season, just, understanding defenses better. And that's what I expect about myself is, being able to go out there and see a defense and they know exactly what they're doing, what play we have and what's going to work. And, having a super high completion percentage, protecting the football, and just putting our team in good positions to be successful and win some games.
Dylan, being a former tight end, I'm going to go right into this because talking about a guy number 87 that I look at and I go, you guys developed a pretty good relationship. In fact, early when he got 7 catches early in the season or last year in COVID season, you kind of feel like there's that deep connection that, hey, that's kind of my safety valve, or a guy that I felt like I can get over and throw that ball in the middle and deal with it. Can you tell me a little about Cade and how that developed, and now it feels like he might be your go-to guy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you have a special talent like him at tight end, it makes things easy for me. They always say a quarterback's best friend's going to be a tight end. And, definitely when stuff's going wrong, we have a bad look, I always say, joke around, I'm going to find 87. And I just think he can do so many things. He's a big body. He can move. He separates from guys. He's a crazy ball control. And I just feel I can put that ball in like a 6-foot radius and he's going to catch it. And so I think just, of course I'm going to have a relationship with a guy like that, and I'm going to continue to develop that relationship. We both worked really hard in this off season, just throwing the ball around, getting that connection even more dialed. So when we get on the field, it's just like night and day.
Yeah, well, Dylan Morris is with us, and I don't know how else to ask this next question, so I'll just spit it out. What's it like for you, for a kid that grew up in the area, to be the starting quarterback at Washington? And you've got a chance to be here for a long, long, long time. 4 more years if you want, right, to be the starting quarterback at UW, because last year was free from the NCAA's perspective. What's this experience been like for you so far, and what's it like for Dylan Morris to be the starting quarterback at Washington?
I mean, it's still super surreal. It's just something I've dreamt about my whole life. I got my kindergarten picture. I was wearing a Jake Locker jersey.
Wow.
A little fake one.
That makes me feel really old.
That made me really old.
Yeah. I mean, it's just my grandpa, he had season tickets. My mom went to games growing up. And, as soon as in high school I got that offer, I wanted to commit on the spot, but, at back of my head, I was like, okay, let's just go see some places and see what happens. But, everywhere I went, it was just like no place is going to match home. And I think just coming here, it's crazy. Every day going to practice, I'm putting on the gold helmet, and it just doesn't feel real. And, I just attack every day, just being grateful. And, I'm always going to bleed purple and gold. It's just a really exciting experience for me, and being able to be the quarterback for the Huskies is it's still crazy.
Okay, Dale, we got the best house in all of college football. What's it going to be like when you step out into that tunnel? And this is going to be the first time as a starting quarterback with 72,000 yelling at you and all that energy. And what it feels like last year, hey, those crowd wasn't there, but now you're going to get a chance to go out there and feed off that crowd. Is that going to make a big difference for you?
I think if it is, it's going to be in a positive way. I can't wait. Even my redshirt year when I was on the sideline signaling, just that energy is insane in the house. And I just can't wait to be on the field and, being a part of that, having big plays and feeding off the crowd's energy. Like, I just wish they were there for that Utah game. That would have been insane.
Yeah.
It's going to be special. I think just for our whole team, having that COVID season, having to bring our own energy on the sideline, we're ready for the fans to be back in the stands and being able to feed off all that energy.
You mean you didn't get fired up with those cardboard cutouts in the stands last year?
They don't make a lot of noise.
Yeah, no, I got you. Well, Dylan Morris with us, and you mentioned the Utah game. What did that Utah win? And I still have visions of you rolling to your left and hitting Cade, kind of going back to your right for that game-winning touchdown. What did that Utah win kind of mean for you think, inside that locker room?
I mean, it was a huge win. Being down at halftime, it was a different vibe in the locker room. It could have been really easy for us to get down on ourselves and, fall behind or whatever. But it never felt out of reach because we knew that wasn't the type of football that we play. And we told ourselves we got to execute in that second half, and that's what we did. And it was just really fun to be a part of. That second half was wild, and coming back from that, and like you said, rolling out to my left and finding Cade and that touchdown with like 30-something seconds left was crazy. But that's something we've practiced so many times. Coach Lake does a good job of getting in those situations in practice. So when we get to the games, it's really easy. We have these 2-minute drills in practice. You drive down the field, 60 yards, you got 1 minute, no timeouts, whatever. And so when that happens in the game, it's just like pitch and catch down the field makes it easy. And like I said, when stuff goes bad, I scrambled out. Jackson ran his guy out and was fine in 87.
You know, Dale, after you watched film last year of the games and then spent some time in the spring, went over all that, what do you want to work on coming into camp this year and kind of take your game to the next level? Was there a few things or certain ones you wanted to get better at? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. There's always going to be fundamental things that I wanted to work on, you know, footwork-wise, or, you know, getting my shoulders in a better position to throw the football. But the main thing was just my mental, just growing my brain a little bit and being able to read defenses. And like I said, spending a lot of time with O-linemen, I wanted to get better at seeing fronts and, you know, certain pressure indicators and being on the same page as them with protections and run game and all this. And, you know, like I said, I watched a ton of tape in the off season, and that was just the main thing. I think just being a quarterback, understanding defenses better, it just makes the game slower on the field and being able to pitch and catch and protect the football and be smart with it.
You know, while you're at practice, too, talk about a little bit of that secondary. You're going against one of the best corners, well, two corners, safeties, just the defense. Is that also helping you improve? Because not very often guys get to compete like that in practice and how intense it is, especially throwing down the field a lot. That's
something I'm really grateful for. And that went all the way back to my redshirt freshman year on the scout team, going against that defense, getting a lot of reps. And even just into now, I mean, that we're super deep in that room, and they can do a lot of stuff, and they're really talented players. You know, I always joke around with them. Sometimes we got these packages, and there's, you know, a ton of guys on the field, ton of DBs on the field, and I'm just like, man, you guys are just roaming around, just doing whatever, reading me. It makes it difficult for me, but I love it because, you know, it makes me a better football player. And, you know, you have Trent and Kyler on the outsides and corners, and it's tough sometimes. You got some looks, you're like, man, I'd really like to work outside. But those guys lock down. And, you know, that just makes things easier when you get into a game-like situation because no secondary is going to be like that.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, before you go, again, we appreciate you doing this. It's nice to finally have you on the radio show. Dylan Morris with us, starting quarterback at UW, and you mentioned, you know, wanting to go down the sideline, go outside. I saw you deliver a strike to Bynum. I think it was on Friday. A beautiful pass down the sideline for a touchdown. But a lot of fans have asked about the wide receivers. You know, Jimmy Lake has made no bones about it, man. He was not happy with the way the receivers have played in the previous maybe 4 or 5 years. He even went as far as to say that he thought that position cost them against teams like Alabama, Penn State, and Ohio State. So if somebody came up to you and said, hey, man, I'm a little concerned about this group of wide receivers, what would you say to them?
I would say there's nothing to be concerned about. This receiver room is special. We're super deep in that room. We got a lot of talented, explosive guys. I mean, these dudes can fly. And, you know, they can get down the field and they can go up to get the football too. And they're all really smart. We spend a ton of time in the off season throwing 3 times a week, watching film together. Yeah. You know, I always wanted to watch film with them and explain how I'm seeing something and then hear how they're seeing it too. And I think just building that sort of connection where we can both get on the same page makes it easier. And like I said, we can get in so many different personnels between being deep in the tight end room and deep in the receiver room. We can spread some people out, and these receivers are special. You know, just TB, Rome, Jalen, you got Sawyer, Giles, all these guys, Jalen Polk. I mean, you can just keep going down the list. They catch everything. They're explosive. They're smart. They really understand. They really understand the playbook and where they have to be versus certain looks. And I just think there'd be nothing concerned about in that receiver room.
Okay, gotcha. All right, one more, and I promise we'll let you go. Dylan Morris with us, and I want to get you to talk about you, right? This is like you're in therapy. I'm your shrink. You're in Dr. Softy's office. You're on the couch. You're laying down talking about your career and your journey. And Dylan, I want to ask you flat out, do you still think that people doubt you as the quarterback at Washington? Do you believe that?
I mean, that's just something that's something I can't handle, what other people think. And all I can control is, you know, my job and just having the trust of my teammates and protecting the football and putting us in good positions to win the game. I mean, if people are going to doubt me, whatever, that's something I can't control. I can only control certain things, and That's what I'm going to try to get better at.
I love it. Go get him, man. Good luck this year, and I'm sure we'll talk again. Appreciate this. Go Dogs, and we'll talk down the road, pal. Appreciate it, man.
Great stuff, Dylan. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Go Dogs.
You got it, man. Dylan Morris with us. That's the first time we've heard his voice on the radio show, Cam. What do you say we get a break? We'll come back and talk about what we heard from the starting quarterback right here on 950 KJ.
Chart a new course for your Texas-sized taste buds at Mendocino Farms. Our feel-good sandwiches and salads offer fresh takes on classics and adventurous new flavor combinations. Visit MendocinoFarms.com for dine-in, takeout, delivery, or catering.